Hello, everybody, and welcome to Electric City Sentai Denzicaster, your somewhat regularly scheduled video show about the wonderful world of Tokusatsu. I'm Mike. Dave.
Me and Cookie Monster.
How did you not see that coming?
It's as if nothing's ever changed on this show.
Me and no shame either.
Dave the head.
And I'm your responsible Ronin for once.
So folks,
hilarious as that sounds.
We just got done. I've got one here waiting. We just got done watching episodes 40 and 41. Sounds right. Of Kamen Rider Drive. No, that sounds wrong. 41 and 42 of Kamen Rider Drive. Because we have 43, 44, 45, 46, and 47. 5 episodes remaining.
We've rounded the corner, the finish line is in sight, and the plot pieces are slotting in like a Tetris game.
Yes, and we have, unless I'm really, really mistaken, we have officially watched the last batch of Drive episodes that I've actually already seen. So,
from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So from here on in, actually it's actually a year. Believe it or not, it's actually 1 year. So, since these episodes aired, so originally I think. So folks, we are in the home stretch of Kamen Rider Drive. Big deal for these 2 episodes. 2 things. One, the big plot device is Medic reaches her, she ultimate digivolves. We're going to see exactly how many bad anime evolution jokes we can come up with here through this, folks. But
do we need to, honestly?
She reaches her ultimate form, but in the process of reaching her ultimate form, finds herself getting brainwashed and is now a puppet for Bono. Bono, who is now a golden version of Drive, or as Dave so accurately described him, the reverse Drive. Since they basically flip, the colors of the costume,
Like Reverse Flash, only with Drive.
Yeah, I don't think that joke warranted explanation. I'm pretty sure they got it.
Like Drive.
So, folks,
Sanity's gone, folks. It's just gone.
At any rate, so
who's ever in the building?
One thing that I will put out here real quick, like that I very much did enjoy. You brought it up, and because I think you really dug it. The monster of the week was just a dude. He was just a creepy human being.
With poor decision.
He wasn't even all that creepy.
Yeah, he wasn't creepy. He was just.
He was a guy who was embezzling and wanted to remove the one witness who was going to turn him in. And
by pushing her down a lot of stairs.
A lot of stairs.
That's the re-offing her part.
Yeah, I hit her with a car.
Yeah, well, should I go ahead and make the attempt to explain since, not even. We find out Medic's backstory in the sense of who Medic copied. She copied a woman who basically loved others more than herself in the sense of she'd sacrifice her own self to save them, yada yada. And at the time of her copying, the woman didn't die. Medic actually healed her. Except apparently enough psychological trauma was still there of almost getting run over by the evil dude who, David.
Well, she healed the body. She didn't necessarily heal the mind.
Well, that's why I was saying psychological trauma. Stuff that you can't just
use magic light rays.
Yeah. We find out early on the reason this is because, or why this even is relevant, is because that woman crops up in a hospital and other women are going unconscious. And initially, it seemed like a plot from Medic to drag out the ride crew and such. And it evolves along with the actually good storytelling. I think there's probably a pair of episodes that have some of the better storytelling of the series overall. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say necessarily the best, but I'm hard-pressed to pick many that would be better offhand. In part because it's been so long since I've seen some of these episodes.
No, I mean, the one thing that this show has done very well as it progresses is the telling of the stories and the 2-week arcs have gotten very, very good over the course of the series. Some of the better ones in Kamen Rider, to be honest. Now, I don't think the series as a whole has hit Gaim's levels yet, or Kamen Rider Double, 2 shows that we may be watching in the not terribly distant future here on Denzicaster.
I do wonder how the kids who would have watched this would have took to this episode. I wonder if these might have been more of a lower on the ratings.
As I understand it, Drive didn't exactly light up the charts. So
the fact that they went to a more adult storytelling angle with this one, because kids aren't going to know what embezzling is.
Well, the thing is,
little girls know what the ballet aspect is, but hey, you had the ballet aspect of medic all the time. Now you just get the reason why.
One of the things to keep in mind is that Kamen Rider is the Tokyo shows in Japan do go in stages. So Super Sentai is your young child, like your toddler and elementary school kids.
This is middle school.
And this is middle school to high school students.
Okay, so they might know
watch Drive.
I don't know if they'd really much care for it. Then again, in the one aspect, it's a detective show.
Yeah.
As we've gotten to in the past, an argument of how much of
about
a
police dramas we're going to get.
There was actual research, and they actually presented the clues.
Mm-hmm.
Not so difficult.
Right.
Like, it wasn't that big a surprise that I want to see Show and Show as a dog.
This story arc of Kamen Rider Drive, presented by M. Night Shyamalan. Look, there's a twist!
For a second, I thought you were going to go, and this week's detective story brought to you by the letter Q. I thought you were going to go the Sesame Street route with that for some reason.
The only reason I would ever see that to work would be if they had brought back Q from Street Fighter 3.
Don't even get that reference.
So, regardless, the big takeaways from this, though, aside from Dave returning to form, Gold
Much
Drive.
better than corn dogs.
Well, that's fair. Gold Drive, the latest in a long tradition of basically the anti-rider. It's something that Kamen Rider has done for years and years and years and years. First, actually starting with the original Kamen Rider television series in the 1970s, 1971. Shocker created their own Kamen Riders to try to stop Kamen Rider, and basically, for that show's purposes, they were little more than highly evolved foot soldiers. But
I'm sure that Bizarro would find this the greatest story ever told.
Yeah, no, Bizarro not find this greatest story never told. Anyway,
talk about it for a moment.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Anyway, but going through, as I look behind me, actually for visual reference, because I know there's at least one up here. The various other Kamen Rider shows, once you get into the Heisei era, the more modern Kamen Riders, do have a tendency of having the Dark Rider or the Anti-Rider somewhere in there.
Of course, we get ours by a warp digivolution.
Well, I always thought it was going to be Chase.
You thought that he was going to be the guy?
He's the Negaverse version.
Well, no, in this case, it's very much like what we're seeing here at Gold Drive. It really is just a palette swap in most of these shows' instances. Kamen Rider Kabuto, for instance, had a character named Dark Kabuto, which was literally the exact same armor. You folks can't see it at home, but up here there's one guy here. It's a black circuit board version.
I'm actually
of the armor.
throwing you'll see it too, but don't feel left out.
I'm sitting here where I could see it, and I still can't see it. So.
I would pull it down, but I'd wind up knocking down half of my
There's like 8 of them in the way.
Yeah. But there's that one. There's a Dark Kiva.
This will help you get into it.
There's a...
why didn't we take that hammer away from him before this
You
episode?
did.
We did, but he sat down in the chair closest to the hammer. He was the first one in the room.
Victory is mine!
There's a Nega Denos. I mean, they've done this repeatedly.
Nega dog.
Yes. So, looking at Gold Drive...
Damn it, now that theme's in my head. Damn it!
You're welcome.
It is an epic theme. I mean, if there's going to be a Disney cartoon theme stuck in your head, it should be that one.
But like the nostalgia critic, I was trying to fight for weeks to get that out of my head.
But sometimes, some crimes go slipping through the cracks. But these two gumshoes are always picking up the slacks. That's why Shinosuke and Kiriko are our heroes.
Anyway, hopefully that's not enough.
No shame!
Hopefully that's not enough for Disney to slap us with a copyright flag.
I probably didn't quote it right anyways.
Actually, I think you did.
It's only been 25 years.
So, the Gold Drive costume is a little more than just a palette swap of Drive. The tire bandolera is slightly changed.
Slightly flatter.
What do we think of Gold Drive?
It's bullshit.
Really?
Yes.
Elaborate.
Well, 1, he's stealing everybody's weapons. 2, he's a color swap. 3, he's unstoppable, and the only reason he doesn't kick everybody's ass is because I've got other things to do, teleportation away. And I'm not 100% certain.
You're basically saying he's a mustache-twirling villain version now at this point, too, just without the actual mustache on the character.
They're going to paint it on the helmet next week. I honestly think...
They did that, but it was in the movie. That was fun.
Well, remember...
or no, Sorcerer.
Krim Beltstein looks like the Japanese version of Tony Stark to me.
Steinbelt, but yes.
Yeah, whatever. I think they're going to end up learning how he does what he does to do it back to him and end up defeating him by taking his powers.
What do you think? What do you think of Gold Drive?
If we take away the whole, why did we give him this, continue to step up the game of Bano, the costume looks amazing. I would have preferred Gold Drive instead of normal Drive, but I'm just...
Other than the color scheme, they did everything right with the costume. But they did have 40 episodes to test the first costume to find it.
The small tweaks they did well. And it might also be because of how the colors highlight things differently, too. That said, okay, his gimmick, as Dave was referencing, he revs up his tire and can steal whatever active powers any of the other riders are using. Whether it be their gun, whether it be Trideron mode. Well, he gets knocked out of form Trideron.
He gets knocked out
speed.
of it. But he gets, he steals, at one point he steals...
knocked the car around, but he didn't necessarily steal it.
Well, he steals Chase's weapon at one point. Not Chase, Mock's weapon. He steals the gun.
With the gun, with the shift card.
Signal bike, yeah. Steals that. He winds up stealing the guns from Chase and Drive at the the same time.
While Drive wasn't Drive also in Trideron?
No, he was in Type Speed. He was in Type Speed at the time. He's able to literally knock Shinosuke out of Type Trideron and back down to Type Speed, which I actually don't understand how that works because it's not. One's not an upgrade to the other. It's just complete. Should have knocked. Anyway, this is one of those you see the zipper moments. It didn't make any sense. But
well, I mean, if you want to go further than that, it goes.
We look too close and saw the Hasbro
you give him a power set that literally the only thing holding him back is you've also turned him into a mustache twirling villain.
Well, remember,
Dave's got a solid point here. There's just no reason not for him to go ahead.
His power is also his weakness. How is he stealing all this stuff? Because he's a computer program. Because this stuff is based around computer equipment. He turns it into energy, transports it back to himself, and turns it back.
By the way, the reason he has Zeta Form to begin with is he forcibly deleted the personality of 006.
Yeah, of a world.
There went our drug dealer.
Yeah, our Colombian cartel drug dealer is now gone. And then attached his the Bano version of the belt to that Roid Mute and then Henshin.
When innocent drug dealers are being murdered in the street by robotic android-type people, what is this world coming to?
Look, my point is, with the power set he has, why doesn't he just off the entire Drive crew? Because he obviously doesn't need them for anything, he just needs the Roid Mutes.
Because he's allergic to plutonium.
Yeah. So, there may be a reason that we will wind up seeing over the next several episodes. Who knows? We've got 5 of them left.
In the meantime, Dave put it best. Plutonium.
Yeah.
Well, he keeps teleporting away because he's got other stuff to do and he'll kill you later. Gadget.
Never understood that by any villain.
So, silly question. Maybe just to throw this out here. Because all of the Ultimate Evolutions have been as much generated by the Drive crew as it has by the Roid Mutes themselves. There's still, theoretically, even though he's counting himself as the 4th.
Yes.
With when Medic transforms into her ultimate form, he counts himself as the 4th of the 4 promised numbers. So Brain, Medic, Heart, and Gold Drive. But Heart very plainly tells him at the end of
there's only 3 of us.
The last one we watched here, there are only 3.
But that's because he had Brain go into hiding. I think
Hart played the Magnificent Bastard card, but I don't think that matters for the Drive crew.
I mean,
as that gives Hart another pain in his ass.
I get what you're saying. I think I get what you're saying. That there's only 3 Roid
Mutes, yeah.
And Drive doesn't really count. And that's where I'm, like the last episode when I made the joke about them getting in a space station or a spaceship and flying off in the future. I think that's going to be part of it. I think when the fourth Roidmude is found, and probably will team up with the Drive crew to defeat Bono, they're going to realize that A, humans aren't their enemies, and B, they're going to have to go somewhere else to start over.
Well, here's
I think those four might end up being like explorers in space.
Well, here's the silly question. So every Roidmude that has gone Ultimate, predictably, has been part of the recurring cast. There's only one Roidmude part of the recurring cast that hasn't transformed.
Well,
that's Chase.
Well, there's another one. Remember, did the guy who froze people, did he get destroyed?
Oh, he got offed.
I thought there was someone else they had said
they
hadn't been seen in a while.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Do you remember in the beginning the one guy who was drinking explosives because it was funny or whatever?
Yeah.
Wasn't he supposed to have evolved?
Not Ultimate Evolve, no.
No,
he was the first to evolve, period. But the Ultimate, going Super Saiyan, he didn't do.
Nice and shiny golden.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's not too far-fetched.
Beautiful baby?
I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that the last Super Saiyan Roidmude winds up being Chase.
It could be.
Because he's the only one that hasn't. Unless you can make an argument for Drive himself, because he's not totally human now.
Well, the other big problem with Chase, though, is he has very, very difficult time understanding human emotions. Anyways, they are playing him as a very dry computer android type person.
Right.
What is love? Does not compute 00110 divided by 5.
Right.
Well, I mean, this may be the spark that does what you're saying.
Right.
Hell, maybe Kuriko will finally get a costume. Who knows?
At the end of these two...
I'm kind of looking at it, though. Maybe they wind up making it irrelevant.
They could.
This is a plot hook up until Bono showed up, and Bono, by hijacking it and calling himself the Fourth, prevents it from ever happening.
Could be. That's another thing that we have. Let's hit on Medic real quick, because a lot of these episodes...
I don't think her evolution is real.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, explain.
Well, one, it was manipulated. She was brainwashed into only having one feeling, and when you have only one feeling, I don't think it would be really real, because... Really real, dog. Really real. I don't think it's real, because it is nothing to work... You can't know happiness if you don't know sad. You can't know light if you don't know dark, etc., etc. Philosophy. If all she feels is one thing, she's not really evolving, I don't think. Or when her real personality comes back out, because I don't think it's gone, then that access to that evolution is going to be gone. And just like Hart said, there's honor or whatever in evolving naturally.
Right.
And the snow guy kind of evolved naturally. I don't know if he made the ultimate transformation, but he did become very powerful.
Well, he was... I guess theoretically, he was originally the Fourth, because he was the first one to actually have a gold form.
Okay.
So...
Hart did it, Brain did it, and I think she'll redo it.
The big thing out of her in this is that she winds up... We wind up getting her complete backstory.
As I alluded to earlier.
Yeah. We see how her relationship to Hart... The only thing that disturbs me, because God bless Kamen Rider, but it's not overly kind to women, she realizes her connection to Hart because she didn't just take the emotions of the woman, she took the emotions of the dog. And her true love was the true love of a dog for its owner. And that's how she related it to Hart. No, that's what she said.
No, I get that, but I think you might be reading too much into it. I think they were trying to allude... I read it as they were alluding to an unconditional love.
As unconditionally as a dog for their master?
I don't think the master-pet relationship is what they were
trying. No. Unconditionally as an insert metaphor here, and the metaphor just happens to be dog and master.
My point is drop the metaphor.
No.
I think that's what's got in the way, was it was dog for owner. Scratch that. It's just an unconditional love.
I bet you the writers of that show would love for everyone to think that.
That's how I took it.
But I think it was a really unfortunate metaphor to make.
It was. It was badly timed.
Because it does create the adverse, especially when you look with how she is treated. Because I think Hart treats her as he's treated numerous characters throughout the show. But the way she defers to Hart is very much in a subject to master type relationship.
Fidelity?
Yeah.
Well, but we are also... She calls him Sama.
Which has a lot of connotations.
Right. I mean,
it
we
could
are
be
talking
senior,
about...
It could be superior. It could be...
My
master,
lord.
Yeah. But anyway, I just thought that... I was like, that was a really unfortunate...
I get what you're
story to
saying,
put forward,
and I
but-
could see that, but I don't think they're aiming for the pet versus master part there.
I mean, we've seen her costume.
The
Just saying.
little dancy number.
Yeah.
Oh.
But anywho.
Dancing maid inspired, if anything.
Yeah.
And with the nurse.
I'm kind of in the middle of these two on this one. I like the moment that they picked as a moment, but unfortunately, I sided with Mike on all the messages that it's involving with the way they presented it.
I might be optimistic.
Well, and
Which is strange for this show, because I thought I was the optimist by having, appreciation for certain costumes.
I was gonna say you're just optimistic about the visuals.
no. Like,
No, I'm not optimistic about the CG. I normally trash the CG.
no, you being optimistic. No, that's not being optimistic. You're a formula apologist. So, that's what you are, sir.
They only
Hey,
have two
they-
seats in the diet.
So,
Jesus.
but the actual the plot to get her where she was going, that I did appreciate. We don't get a good look at what her suit's going to look like in Super Saiyan form. We've gotten to see Heart in the last couple episodes.
We got to see her do the shining gold bit that we got to see from the Snow Guy.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see a
Gold.
tone down the bloom. Let's see what it actually looks like. But presumably, it's not going to change much. It's going to be a color change.
Well, I liked Heart.
from-
I actually like the gold version of Heart. I actually like his.
Right, but
costume
didn't you also
switch.
get a couple of small changes?
No,
Not
it-
just the coloration?
No, when they go gold, it's pretty much the exact same costume. The difference is where, like, for him, the crown is painted differently. They actually paint the heart that was already part of the costume
I
design.
thought they manipulated the mask part of his...
I don't
facial
think
That's okay.
expression
I
a
thought
little
the
bit.
orange looked different.
No, I don't think. I
But
think
I
it's all
don't
just
pay that
painted.
much attention.
Again, we already discussed earlier that coloration can also highlight and de-emphasize certain aspects. Which is why a color palette can look better than the original.
Which for the I'm not a fan of the Gold Drive costume. I'm just not.
Because yellow?
No, not because yellow, because I think there's too much gold to it. I mean, there have been some Gold Rider costumes over the years that looked really good, Agito being one of them, but that's Agito.
I'm not a big fan of the yellow.
But I'm just not a huge fan of that costume with those colors. I can buy the red because red is a sports car, and that's what it's based off of. And I don't think gold when I think sports car. I think gold, my immediate thought is my PT Cruiser. But anyway, but I just don't, it doesn't click in my head for whatever reason.
You do remember I wind up at a car show every month. They normally do
Yes, I know
one.
you want a bit of car show every month,
So,
but I'm a layman. You're not. So.
What?
I've driven cars.
Exactly,
My point being, gold looks good on cars.
Sure it does.
There are plenty more cars than your PT Cruiser to think of, and that's not the first one I think of.
But when
But
I
it's
think,
the one he sees every day.
But when I think sports car, the immediate color that comes to mind is red. So that's the cliche
See,
color.
I'm black. I think black.
Well, Proto Drive was black.
And I grew up with Knight Rider, though, so, I mean...
Yeah.
Knight Rider's still awesome.
So,
But
that's funny, because, you say gold, my first thought's Midas.
well, looking at our final thoughts on these couple episodes, because I think we've
Ramble.
Derailed enough.
enough for this episode. So, your final thoughts. We're in the final countdown. There are 5 to go.
We're starting to collect a series of tropes that revolve around evolutions from Digimon and Pokemon about the villains.
Well, yeah.
I think that's all you need to say. I'm looking forward to maybe the writers still somehow nailing their end of things, despite what producers and directors are telling them to do, which is, I'm blaming the evolution shenanigans on that, and I'm hoping they somehow make the whole Bano being an uninteresting villain thing not the hole that sinks the ship.
What about you, sir?
I think due to the commercial we saw as we were leaving the last episode, we're going to have to go through the stupid forced romance triangle between Shinosuke, Kiriko, and Chase that I'm not looking forward to because
this is again what I'm hoping our writers prove to be better than the directors telling them to do it.
We do have the moment at the end of the last episode we watched here where Chase does go to Kiriko and finally like, hey, I think I love you, basically, while Shinosuke looks on. So slightly awkward, and it's really odd timing to play that card with 5 episodes together.
Well, like you said, it may be the thing that sparks Chase into his Digivolve, as you keep calling it.
Super
I think
Saiyan
awkward fits for their social dynamic, though.
For all 3 of them.
Yes. So unfortunately, I can't just say the romantic triangle is going to be awkward. I think they are just as a group awkward.
But I'm looking for Bono. I'm looking forward for Bono getting his Worst Dad of the Year award.
Yeah. So
you're not my son. You're a lab rat. Ha 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 ha. Oh, shut up.
Yeah, he is not changing the opinion that he is a right bastard even remotely.
No,
in these 2 episodes. If anything, his mustache is now out to here.
The only thing he's lacking is the follow through.
Yeah. But maybe they'll give us some explanation as to why. We'll find out. That's actually what I'd like to see is why does this not happen?
Because the director said so.
See, the thing that gets me is if he's such a jerkbag, who's their mother? And while I do
understand, they cover that like
no, I don't think they've ever talked about their mother.
I don't think we've talked about their mother yet.
And
there's a reason why
we can kind of look past it because there's lots of times in Japanese culture where people get married because it's an arranged marriage. I mean, that still does happen today, and dutiful people go on for their... But their mother passed, didn't she?
I believe so.
Because I think Kuriko had to take care of Go for a while.
And
that's why she does the whole big sister, I'm your mom. And they had a little
that's
conversation at the beginning.
I'm pretty sure they mentioned something about that because the whole living dynamic.
Folks,
before Go went to...
What if we find out this whole time that Kuriko's been an artificial life just like Chase?
Who knows? We'll find out.
Let's not go there.
5 left before we wrap up Kamen Rider Drive. We are closing in on the finish line, folks. So
he has more cookies.
Just 2 left.
So, folks, when we come back to Denzicaster, there will be more Kamen Rider Drive. We've only got 3 more episodes left of Drive, or 3 discussion episodes.
You sure?
So, for the television series.
Might be 2.
I was going to say, since we have 5 episodes left, depending on how they split, it might be...
We've got 3 episodes left.
Okay. He's made the call, folks.
Is the finale like twice as long or something?
No, but I've already made up the title cards for the last 3, and I'm not going to change them. So, with that said, we've got 3 more episodes left to talk about Drive.
We're going to be on a cliffhanger, apparently.
But we may throw one of the movies in for the last episode, too. Who knows? But anyway, folks, until next time, as we make our way through the final countdown of episodes for Kamen Rider Drive, don't forget, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Denzicaster.
And while you're there, recommend the series we should do next.
Unless you've already done it by the time this one gets broadcast.
In which case, do it again. Make your voice heard. Let us know so that we know what you want us to talk about next. Personally, my vote would be something Super Sentai, because we haven't actually done a full Super Sentai series here on the show yet. We tried with the Ninja, folks. Honest to God, we did try.
I busted out the ice picks, then it was over.
And we punched out
People
of that
took
show.
the hint.
For the record, anyone out there who's wondering if we ever are going to finish the Ninja on this show, no, we are not. On Denzi Blitz, eventually, yes, I will, because I'm a glutton for punishment, and I'm told that show actually got good at some point. I'm assuming around, like, the last episode. So...
Because you can see the end was in sight.
Yeah, basically. But we'll find out.
No, because the Red Ninja finally learned a lesson to work with each other.
So, folks, let us know what you think we should watch next right here on Denzicaster. Until next time, I'm Mike. That's Dave the Head.
And I'm your Wandering Ronin Joe.
And we'll see you next time on Denzicaster.